With that, let's jump into our first tip on our first ever episode. And as we are coming to a close, it's the last week of December as we do our initial podcast. We're setting ourselves up for this 2018 and super excited to be sharing it in this podcasting format. We're actually, Matt, we are not strangers to recording. If anybody remembers out there in the audience, we were early blabbers. That'll really kind of set us, that was the platform that came in a couple years ago and then kind of disappeared because of the big guys, Facebook and YouTube and everybody getting into live streaming. And podcasts have become super popular. So it was just natural for us to go into this. We probably have over 250 videos, training videos that we've recorded just in the last 2 years. And that's all part of our online platform. And you'll be able to learn more about that as you take a look at our show notes and so forth. But as we come to the end of the year, this is the thing. I am not a big believer in setting resolutions. And Matt, I like to set goals and outcomes, but Matt, maybe you can share your opinion on goal writing, because this show is about setting yourself up for the new year, but maybe you do it a little bit differently than what I'm talking about.
To me, I think it's a personal thing, right? I mean, there are some people that really need to have the daily notes, the daily goals that are set up for you. And I think that's fantastic. If that's what works for you, then you absolutely need to do it that way. And we will be talking about some really fantastic tools that will allow you to do that. Other people don't need quite as much, to keep them motivated and keep them going. I'm like one of those guys that, even though I have been in business for way too long and have done business plans out the kazoo, I'm not a real big personal planner myself. I have goals and objectives that I have set, but I don't have to refer to a piece of paper every single day, and that works for me. So I think it's just your individual taste and whatever works, because the idea is to get to the end.
But I've known you a while now, and is it not, I think that you and your lovely wife Laura, you guys do some serious planning when it comes to choosing what you're going to do around your travel plans for the year.
We do.
Now that's part of what I'm talking about too, which I actually think is maybe a more important thing to do before we start talking how much money do you want to make and what's your goals for this. And people are, the classic stuff. I want to lose this much weight. I'm going to, the resolutions piece that never really seems to work. The most people are in the gym in January, and then by February, they're all out of the gym again. But is that true? Don't you guys do some serious set goals for where you're going to go?
Absolutely. We always talk. Well, this is the fun thing that we always do. We almost always plan our next big adventure during the adventure that we are currently on.
That's awesome.
And it's fun because we do it. I mean, literally every summer when we plan our, kind of our 2-week trip of the year, we do at some point during that say, hey, next summer, let's do this. And we'll actually start making reservations almost a year ahead of time. But what we do to kind of stimulate our idea about what we're going to do is we'll get a map and we throw it on the wall and then kind of plan our trip around that. So we kind of study the area out. So yeah, I guess you're right, John O'Brien. You caught me there. We do some planning and we do actually write some things down. So
and you always make it happen, because I've seen the results of that intricate plan. And when we get into what we're going to talk about today on my path, I just happen to help, and Matt has helped me create some tools that might help you do just that. So if you have a goal of going, like for me, I want to go to Sequoia National Park in 2018. And I have somebody awesome who's going to help me get there. And I'm sure they will plan it all out, which I got to go to my first national park in a big way last year when I went with you guys to Yosemite, which was just amazing. So
yeah, we had a blast.
So excited to do it again. But what came with that is a really awesome plan. The goal was we're going to go to Yosemite, and then there was a whole plan that went around it, including all the cool things. Now, that's what I'm looking forward to as we continue to share your insights on this podcast, because you guys really know the things to do, the out of the way kind of things to do, from the national parks to the various cities. And I've been to the same cities you've been to, but I have never been to some of the places you guys.
No, the road less traveled is always the way to go, in our opinion, right? Exactly. And to really get out there and kind of explore. And you have to do the things that are the most touristy things, or the things that are the most popular. You have to see those. That's just part of the thing. But once you've done that, a lot of people will never go back. I mean, New York City is a great example of that, right? Once people will go there, they'll do the, Times Square, they'll do the Empire State Building, they'll, check out maybe Wall Street or, the Freedom Tower, and that's kind of it. Right. But there are 10 million other things to do there. once you've done those. You just have to find them. And it's doing
Right.
a little research and really just getting out and walking around. I'm telling you right now, you find more things if you're out just walking around and paying attention to what you're looking at than you would ever find at any book or any podcast or any research you could do online.
Well, right there is the positive tip of the year, and that's about being present and in the moment wherever you are. And we're definitely going to be talking more about that in the future around things around mindfulness and being present. So I want to set up this tip as we've just been talking about setting your goals, your outcomes, your plans, whatever you loosely want to call that, but they're not going to be resolutions in my book. And the tip that we have for you, and we have a download that you can get, again, just go to the WBNLcoaching.com. You'll be able to get to our podcast, and we have something called Celebrate, Reflect, and Celebrate. And all this is a series of questions, because this is really powerful. I do a lot of coaching with top producing agents and brokers around the country. And this was something that was shared with me, my coach, gosh, probably 10 years ago. And I talk about it every year. I post it on my blog every year. And it's about stopping and reflecting about what happened in your past year to celebrate. Where were the little joys? Where were the wins? Where were the successes? And why I think this is important is that if you are a driven personality, and most top producing business people, real estate agents, and so on, have a tendency to just focus on what they didn't accomplish. Does that make sense? So this exercise allows you to go back and really evaluate. You may just think like last year, whatever the events are that impacted you, whether it was stuff happening in the world, in the country, for you personally. I mean, Matt and I shared an experience, but in different parts of Florida, when we both happened to be visiting our families when Irma hit, right?
That's right.
And I mean,
Irma.
I mean, I learned so much about that because I was in Tampa where it was supposed to hit, but frankly, you were in Fort Myers, where it really hit a little bit. The impact was, I think, Naples, or right there with Naples
right.
and Fort Myers. But that's a story for another day. But needless to say, what I learned from all of that was the importance of being prepared, knowing what you need to do if you live anywhere where there could be a natural disaster. And let's face it, Matt's in California. I'm in Vegas. Maybe we don't have it. Maybe Vegas is the place to live now. There's no water. We got some minor earthquakes. I think you got to worry more about earthquakes and wildfires. I mean, that was a theme this past year, right? Just natural disasters. I think California's still burning, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, yeah. California's been burning for practically all of 2017, but it's gotten really bad the last few months with the Santa Ana's kicking up. So it's been a little of a trial for us here.
And you actually had to evacuate during that one time.
Yeah, evacuated twice, and for Irma, came home and evacuated here. The thing for me, out of all those natural disasters that occurred this year, and I could really have looked back on this year and really thought, poor me, doom and gloom, right? But for me, you can always find that silver lining in there too, right? And that's the thing that I think when I look back on last year, that Irma was a butt kicker, and there was no power at my mom's house for 10 days. And the store. I mean, the what you could talk about is just mind-boggling. Until you go through that, you really wouldn't know. But at the end of the day, everything was great. Right. Her house was fine. Everyone was healthy. Everyone got out of it just fine. The same thing with the fires. Yeah, were we scared we were going to lose our place? Absolutely, we were worried about that. But at the end of the trauma that happened over those couple days, everything actually was just fine, right? So if you look at the positive side of that, I mean, now, with that said, there were a lot of people that had a lot of tragedy,
right.
But at the same time, I am an optimistic guy, so I'm always looking for the thing that kind of can boost me up and keep me going to kind of jumpstart my getting yourself out of the doldrums, I guess, is what that really is. And there's a lot of positivity that's around.
So out of those tragedies, like I lived through this Las Vegas mass shooting, and I will tell you that. And so this is part of what I'm saying, that even out of looking back and in finding the positives, even in horrendous negative situations, whether it be the hurricane or the fires or this terrible mass tragedy, what I got out of that, what I learned from all of this is how important it is to make sure you are doing the things that you're passionate about, how important it is to spend time with your family and the people that you care about most. And are you doing the right thing? Are you happy with where you are in your life? That's really what the awareness, it was about being in the present moment. for that massacre, what happened here in the city is it impacted everybody individually. And I think it impacted so many people because everybody has been to Vegas generally.
Sure.
So they could realize, they could see themselves at the Mandalay Bay and just experiencing that. But what I have found is a new sense of community here. Las Vegas is very interesting city. There's so many people that aren't from here. It's very, very seldom that you meet a real, no kidding native. And when you do, you're like, wow, you can talk forever about how things used to look when they were growing up in the Las Vegas area. But the sense of community here is overwhelming, and it's awesome. And it's I think it happened in Houston. I think it happened in Florida. I think it happened everywhere. People just got a sense of like, let's turn off the news and let's turn off all the craziness and let's just focus on what's important. And I think that's what I wanted to share with that. So download our document, and then where you can also find those wins and those positive things that happened, even if you're finding the positives and the negatives, is the tip here is to go look at your social media feeds. We have a tendency, Facebook is great for one thing, and that is kind of capturing all those moments. Most of the time they're good. Sometimes people like to post all the negative stuff. I'm not for that. And share with the entire Facebook friends and family whatever woe they're happening to have. I don't prescribe to that. But if you go look at your camera roll, if you hold on to, go here and look at your camera roll, like I have at least 4,000 photos. If you're like my sister, she deletes them as soon as she has them, unless she does this. I mean, I don't know, but that's what she does. Just like she deletes her text. But that's where you get those, oh yeah, that happened. And so anyway, if you download our free little PDF, it'll walk you through this process. And that's a great way to get set up in a space to reflect and appreciate what happened in the last year, so that you can set yourself up for the new year. So that's our tip. Reflect on the past year and then celebrate the successes and get yourself in the right mindset to do some planning for the new year, whatever that looks like to you.